Peter Vincent, remote viewer and dowser.
We have a nice little exercise here all about the amber room. The amber room that was taken from the Russians in World War II by the German invasion of that part of Russia. At the end of the war, the amber room had not been repatriated or found. Officially, it had still not been found. However, some years back, Germans obtained amber, so I'm informed, from Russia, and purchase it and to gift it to the Russian people and to provide an expert to reconstruct the amber room. The thing is this, if the amber room hasn't been found officially, then there is an absolute fortune of amber lying somewhere. And a television programme on 3 gents who were investigating the missing amber room interviewed the castle commandant who was looking after the amber room, and because the Allies were making such advances and the bombing raids were getting quite intense, he felt that the amber room and the other artwork should be stored somewhere differently than being in the castle basement. So he arranged to have a bunker constructed not far from the castle, and for these items to be transported there and sealed in the bunker for the future. Which, strangely enough, when the commander was interviewed by these 3 gents, gave them a rough idea where this bunker was, and the 3 gents all they found were empty German bunkers. I thought, well, this is a task that we could have a go at remote viewing, where we go over maps and things using substances and colours and radionics numbers to see if we can try and find where this amber might be. Because if it was in the Baltic, I might say, well, it's too much of a task, because basically that's where amber comes from. If it was somewhere buried under a town, I'd say it's too much of a task, because basically a lot of people wear amber, so you're going to pick it all up. So unless you have a very enormous scale map showing individual houses, you'd be picking up private amber and not what might be buried in tunnels or chambers deep down underneath. The fact is that if it's in fields and woods, well, you don't expect to find amber there, especially in Germany. So that was the reason I felt that we'd have a go at remote viewing over map to see if we could track this. First of all, I got the atlas out and I found a town called Königsberg, and there is a castle. I then got a code. I had to go to a jeweller's shop and get a sample of amber and then code it into the colours and then the radionic numbers. So working from the value of amber, which was yellow, orange, grey, green, red and dark blue, I was able then to go over the maps and get a response not far from that castle in the wooded area here on a raised level. So I'll give you a little example here. I've actually got a sample of amber here. If I go over Königsberg, I get responses. Well, you would expect to, wouldn't you? Because a lot of people wear amber jewellery. You know, it's not that expensive for small bits. Basically, I then got a response here. You know when you get a response because something in the head just goes round and allows the magnetic response for this just to spin like that, just round and round and round and round like that. So amber was responding there. It's got gold, a lot of gold in there. So we have a code for gold here. You can use real gold, 9 karat gold, 18 karat gold or whatever. And if you go over the town, of course, you'll pick up gold because lots of people wear wedding rings and things like that. So come out into the countryside, you might have a treasure there. But there was also in that area that I picked up gold. So basically, if I hold the amber and the gold together, I get a stronger response because every correct thing you add into an area, you get an increased response in this thing. So now, if it's buried, you'll be in green for a tunnel or a cave or whatever it is, or a bunker. So it's a hole under the ground. So you get an even bigger response. It goes more and more and more. So if I was to have another half dozen things, let's say concrete, steel or something like that, I would be spinning around like a propeller, you know. So basically I found this area here, so I marked it. I then went over with green 6 and I picked up all these other bunkers along here, you see. So there was a defence line along here. I thought, well, what on earth do I do with this information? So I thought, well, the best thing to do is to contact the German embassy. So maybe they would find somebody who could go there from this town, because dowsers and divining and things like that is big time in Germany, because they use this to cleanse the land if you're having a house built, there's no impurities in the ground, more so than they do over here. So I spoke to somebody in their cultural section. They didn't want to know anything about it. So I thought, well, the next thing to do is I'll try and contact the local authority in Königsberg, see if I could send them an email and these maps and see whether we could get some interest. Not a single dicky bird. So I then decided to have another go at the embassy about this, and they turned around and said, well, because she said that the Königsberg was in the area that was occupied by the Russians at the end of the war and had now seceded to Russia. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, how can that be so when we've got a Königsberg here? So it's suddenly twinned, because this is in Bayern, which is right down the middle of Germany, nearly on the Czech border as far as I know. I thought, well, there's some sort of confusion going on here. You've got a Königsberg up there that's now Kaliningrad in Russia, which had a castle, and perhaps the German commander took them there, and they've been looking at bunkers there. Although, to be quite frank, I can't see the Russians allowing a load of guys with metal detectors to go running around former German bunkers in Russian territory. The thing is, they didn't find anything. Well, naturally, because you're in the wrong Königsberg, aren't they? We've got another one here. So I looked at this map and I thought, well, look, we've got the castle here that was badly bombed, which is what was said, and basically it's been rebuilt. And we need a bigger map. So I then thought, right, we'll get another map. We can't put a map on a map. So here we've got the castle now enlarged, much, much bigger. And you can see that if that wall wasn't there, there was a direct flat area over here where there's a destroyed buildings or farms here. And it looks as if the old moat went round here, you see. There's a river. This is all rocks. It's been carted right across to link this bank with that bank. And now you can see the trees growing in a line each side. And then discovered there was a roadway up to where this response was. So I then asked two other remote viewers to look at this. Joe and Alan both found amber and gold in that particular site, but in none of the other bunkers that we picked up. Joe, itchy fat cat, said, well, one of the other bunkers, he said, I can find a lorry in there and munitions. I think that they've been mined as a defence. Basically, there are munitions involved, a lorry involved by another remote viewer. I found gold and amber there. And basically, there is a way that he could have got from that castle across here with a lorry, probably a half track or something, and taken all these goods up, having had the chamber dug out and then sealed up so nobody would really know, especially if it wasn't a German defence bunker. It was purely a burial bunker. So it was completely covered over, not to be fired from or anything like that. Whereas the other bunkers were operational and the troops coming in would never have realised that that was there at all. Hopefully, one day, for somebody to come back and get all this treasure. But the thing is this, we then went one step further. We then got an enlarged map, really enlarged, and we actually got the actual shape of this bunker out with the girders and everything else, and a ramp down here where the lorry would have backed down, unloaded everything and stored it. And we're also picking up some sort of a trap out here, because don't forget, if you're sealing something up, you seal it up from the inside and then get out of an escape thing and then cover it over, sort of thing, in case somebody were to break in and take it out. So a possible trap door in there from the top, and the slope down, 8 metres going down, 2 foot at the top, down to 5 foot, a 15 foot across, I'm not sure, 4 metres that way, 4 metres that way. It's enough to store a considerable amount of treasure in there, basically. Seal it up, and it's also mined, I think, at the front entrance where the slope comes down. I think Joe picked that up, and the track runs along here. Basically, all that evidence, you think, well, surely you could get somebody on foot. We don't want anything for it. In fact, Alan said, do we get a reward? And I said, no. This is just the fun of doing it.
That would be the most amazing thing, wouldn't it, to have feet on the ground in there and then get a geophys there as well.
If I come over this map that's greatly enlarged, I get a huge response to Green 6, which is underground complex, basically. And I'm... Houses. So we know that from this point on, there's a gap between here and there. and that would allow people to walk round this. So if you were worshipping something, you'd have to walk round it.
So we're looking at the tunnel element here. See, you never know what's beneath your feet. Plotting out now where this tunnel leads, and also we'll be looking at how wide it is. This is just such an amazing system.
The opinion that if we look at this map carefully, and I've looked on Google Earth, that there is a road coming up here that sort of goes into nowhere into the hill. Below here could actually be a network of tunnels that vehicles could have. The local town doesn't seem to be interested. They don't seem to have anybody who does dividing there. Then I thought, well, the only thing to do is to go to the art world to see if we can find somebody who might be interested in this. And the Monuments Men came up. I emailed somebody in the Monuments Men and no reply. Now, one gets the opinions that one's emails may be intercepted somewhere. Why don't somebody email you back and say, well, this is most interesting. Can we put somebody in touch with you that's in that part of the world? We're not spending any money like that. It's only time, really, and experience. So we've been asked to do a small article for an art magazine dealing in stolen artworks, and we'll pass this information on to them. So they've got a little film, they've got the maps, they've got the charts, they've got the codes. Then we'll see if somebody would care to follow this up. I mean, after all, look, what does it take to paint a little bit of green paint on a card? You know, and then 2 colours, a little bit of green paint and yellow paint, that finds gold, or else use your gold ring, or just go and pay 12 quid and get a bit of amber. If you were to hold that and go on that hill, you'd find a response all over the place. And if you don't fancy getting your hands dirty with paint, just write the numbers out. So that's 5 and 6, that's 6, that is 542693, and that's the amber code.